It's the Friday Feels, and we're back with your first sip of the weekend. You're now tuned in to this week's episode of Your Happy Hour. I'm your host, Kieno Kammies, and it's amazing to have you here, joining me this week as we uncover the truths about being a human and a working professional. What are you up to this Friday? Well, whatever it is, this moment is just for you. Hello, all you beautiful people out there tuning in today for this week's episode of Your Happy Hour. Brought to you by Friday Feels, a Swartcut Studios production, and we are in the midst of a theme that has been very insightful to unpack, and that is doing business with. Now, this week I have a very extreme privilege of having a guest on that is a very interesting founder and community leader, and also a big role player in making media pop in the South African scene. So it's a topic close to home for me. So a very, very big welcome to you, Kieno Kammies.
Thanks, Nicole.
The Friday Feels Space and the Your Happy Hour podcast.
It's a privilege to be here. Thank you very much for asking me.
No, it's such a pleasure to have you. Thank you. Thank you for making time for this. And for those people who don't know you out there, just a very quick intro. You are a founder of, Kieno Kammies Innovations, which includes quite a lot of interesting things like Story Design Academy, something I'm a little bit more familiar with, Innovation City, which is a cool co-working space in Cape Town, and Innovate Africa, Cogtech Innovation Lab. But you can tell us a little bit more about all the things you do.
I do too many things. I think KKI Holdings, we're going to do a rebrand. I mean, this Kieno Kammies Innovation thing was because I was too lazy to come up with anything creative. But I'm going to be even more creative, just call it KKI Holdings. And the reason it's a holding company is because obviously I've got my shareholding in Innovation City, so innovation is close to my heart. Innovate Africa is part of my KKI media portfolio, where we host a show on Business Day TV, etc. So, that's about building the media assets around innovation. And then Cogtech Innovation Lab is a bit of a venture builder. There's one company we've just taken 40% stake in, and it's around kids' health and gamifying that. And but I do too many things, and I think it's time for me to sort of just narrow it down so I can get a bit of peace and quiet in my own brain.
We were talking about that, going from kind of being yes woman and men to kind of making life simple and classy at that. So that's really cool. I really have been following a little bit of what you do. And just a very quick story for you also and for the audience out there. Very funnily, I came across you via an email that was sent to me a while back by a media company who reached out and said, do you want to be on the Kieno Kammies show, especially in relation to the Bridge Orphanage, which I'm a co-founder of? And I was like, what is going on? What is this? And then I started researching you and I came across you. And anyway, so that never obviously worked out, but maybe we can chat about the Bridge at some point. But that's how I got to know who you are via this random email, which is amazing. And it's such a privilege to chat to you today. So I'm curious to hear a little bit about what this topic means to you, doing business with, being open to doing business. You've obviously walked quite an interesting road in doing business. And what does that kind of mean for you?
I mean, everything I do business. I mean, everything I do is business at the moment, but even my media career, which spanned around 30 years, centered around people, right? So when we talk about doing business with, I sometimes like saying doing business for. And I mean, it sort of takes you through to the purpose, right? So sometimes, and I mean, we go through the Innovation City and through the throes of the other things that I'm doing, you end up getting caught in a boardroom and you end up sitting going, oh, what are we going to do? What is the strategy moving forward? And sometimes we lose sight of the fact that everything we do needs to be grounded in real people, real people's needs, real people's stories. And so when we talk about doing business with, I once again gravitate doing business for. What's the reason? And so with Innovate Africa, for example, which is a Pan-African show, it was all about doing business for the sake of showcasing the great talent out there. And that was, I think, certainly informed by my years on commercial radio, where all I heard was negative news. And I used to fight with editors about this, saying, why is it that I always feel mildly depressed whenever I get home? And I'm not bringing up the pom-poms. Essentially, what I am saying is there are lots of issues that people complain about, but their businesses fix those issues. So it's relevant, right? So for me, that's doing business for that particular reason, to shine a light on the good work and to give us a balanced view as to what's happening around us. Innovation City was the same thing. Why do we do it? We wanted to bring together the most innovative people, big corporates. So we've got 400 billion rand. I don't know how much that is in euro right now, but anyway, 400 billion rands worth of corporates, 4 billion rands worth of funding, and some really interesting startups. But we started all of this in the middle of COVID. And once again, the purpose there was to not be defeated by COVID, but rather to have our, because we were highly focused by what it actually meant to go through COVID and what that meant for people in co-working spaces. And the one thing that we settled on is that you can bring in all the AI in the world, but nothing will beat people coming together, speaking to each other, understanding each other's stories, and collaborating to innovate and change other people's lives. So for me, just to answer your question, when it comes to doing business, it's all around what we can solve for. I'm not about to start a line of earrings or anything like that. Because I'm a newsman, I come from a news background. I'm grounded in, I'm not saying having earrings is not important to some people, will be, and I respect that. But for me, it's about how do you impact people's lives positively so that they can go on to impact the lives of others. So that kind of, in a long nutshell, is what I do business for.
I love that. I love that. Thank you for sharing all of that and for being so open about it. And I really appreciate that, because I stopped listening to the news a really long time ago and the radio and all of that, because I was feeling, as a sensitive soul, I was kind of taking all of this energy in. And I was like, well, where's all the good stuff? Like, there's definitely good stuff out there. So thank you for bringing that to the fore. And I'm curious, so how did you know that you wanted to go into all of this? Like 10 years ago, did you see yourself doing this? Or when you were growing up, did you feel like this was where your life was leading? Or
I've lived my life generally not having a clue about what I wanted to do next. I matriculated. I did pretty badly in matric. I ended up sitting at home reading my father's Cape Times when it was still run by a decent owner. Not at the moment, though. And I was kind of trying to figure life out. And so life happened to me, right? My parents always taught me one thing. They said aptitude, and I had no clue what they were talking about initially. I was pretty young. They said aptitude and attitude is going to get you far in life. And anyway, I was sitting there living in Elsie's River out in the hood and reading this newspaper, and I heard that there was going to be a political rally close by. And I'm bored. I'm going to go check this thing out. We weren't a very political family. Anyway, I rock up there. Long story short, I meet a guy called Jimmy Matthews, who was a producer for Reuters. And I was so intrigued by this camera thing that I saw. And he let me have a look through the lens, and it was black and white. And I said, it's color on TV. What's going on here? And he said, why don't you come and check what we do? And I ended up, because I was really bored and really confused about what life was supposed to bring. I never ever have things totally figured out. And I actually prefer that state, by the way. I ended up going to the corner of Long and Rubik Street in town, Cape Town, and spending 6 months making coffee, then learning how cameras worked, how machine-to-machine video editing worked, and before all this fancy stuff that we now have where they do edits for you. And I eventually ended up becoming a soundman, cameraman. I was there for the release of Nelson Mandela. I was a tape runner. The USS Halliburton arrived here. I was soundman for that. Got sick because I didn't like the slow rolling. Long story short, I cut my teeth in media at the age of about 17, 18. Not knowing that that's what I really wanted, but that's what I sort of progressed. And I ended up going to the SABC and a couple of other places for my sins, and then built this media career. And I fell into Good Hope FM as well. I was a cameraman at the SABC, went down to watch this guy do his music show on Good Hope FM. His name was Graham White, the Vanilla Thriller. I put my foot in the door, like my parents said, aptitude and attitude. Did his mixes for him. He taught me. It allowed Graham to go and smoke. And then eventually they said, hey, why don't you try it for radio? I said, with this voice? Nah. Anyway, we did it. And I got a weekend gig called Kid Kieno's Saturday Sensation. Anyway, it was probably the worst show ever done on radio. But I did the show, and I ended up spending 30 years in the media as a result of that. And I've been unemployed for at least 3 months in my whole life. So I've been blessed from that perspective. And then my journey where I'm at the moment is, once again, you get sick and tired of doing the same old, and you ask yourself, well, I was at the tender age of 46, I'm 50 now. I said, okay, what am I going to do next? And I kind of told them I'm leaving. I knew that I'd get a payout, because when you leave, if you've done a breakfast show, they don't want you to work at another breakfast show. So you get a bit of a payout. And took a year sabbatical. Well, I thought it was going to be a year. Then ended up meeting some people I've interviewed before. UCT Online High School. I was part of the founding team, startup team for that. And then met a good friend of mine, Stefan Egberg, who's now my co-founder in Innovation City. Once again, it happened to me. I didn't leave going, oh, I know exactly what I want. It happened, and I opened myself up to that. I have a lot of trust in what the future brings.
Wow, that's an incredible, incredible journey. And I really appreciate and love how open you are. Again, doing business for yourself, for who you are in the world, and for others, I think does that. It does make you open to opportunities. And I think a lot of people who are listening are probably going to be really inspired by this, because it's really daunting to do what you've done. I think for the way society structures us, it's very much like you have a plan, you have to follow a certain route. But actually, as spiritual beings, as open beings, we have this way of life just finds a way. And I remember a guy on a train in Chicago, or from Chicago, once told me over breakfast, life will always find a way, and that's always stuck with me. A sheep farmer, Dave, I'll never forget him. But yeah, thank you for being open and for doing all these amazing things in the world. And I want to know how. Obviously it gets a lot. So how do you actually fill your cup? How do you make sure that you handle all of this stuff,
I drink lots of whiskey. No, I'm kidding. No, I think what I've managed to do now, I've got a 23-year-old and a 7-year-old, right? Let's not get into the details. But because I own my own businesses, and because I don't get in, I've learnt long ago that getting involved in operations is not my thing. I'm a strategist. I connect dots. I go to various meetings, understand what people need, what they're looking for, short, medium, long term, and then end up connecting dots. That's what I do. We've appointed an amazing team that actually knows how to get operations sorted at Innovation City. So we've got a management team that runs that. This is, by the way, just a demonstration of one of the problems I have is my ADHD. So don't edit this out, because I think it's important. I've actually functioned at quite a reasonable level with ADHD. Just remind me of that question again.
The question was that how do you fill your cup? How do you
fill my cup? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so how I fill my cup generally, Nicole, is with whiskey. I'm just kidding. I think for me, it's doing the things that matter to me. So family matters to me. I've got a 23-year-old, I've got a 7-year-old, I've got a lovely wife. So spending time with them. Listen, family life isn't easy. I know we all say, oh, things are rosy. Things aren't always rosy. Life is life. Life is messy. But you need to figure out the things that you really like doing. I've probably spent more than 10,000 Rand on buying how to draw cartoon courses. Probably more than that, about 20,000 Rand. I haven't started any one of them effectively because of my ADHD. But I'm now finding time. Because there's something beautiful when it comes to sitting and producing something on a paper. I always thought for the longest time, I used to be envious of people who could draw. And I always said to myself, I can't draw. I'm useless at drawing. But, the guys like Shane Burke and a couple of other people that I follow, they've got phenomenal courses. So I don't have it with me at the moment, but I have a little notepad. It's a drawing book, like a notepad, and I'm on TikTok all the time. If I look at these drawing lessons, I try and mess around and doodle. So I'm getting into it. That is how I fill my cup. What else is there? I think it's more actually being present for my family that matters. And I'm also not worrying too much about the trappings of life. You're saying, I want to have 4 homes and I want to drive this car and that car. I happen to drive a nice car, but it's not the beginning and end of my life. If I lost it tomorrow and I sort of ended up in a lovely little I-10, which is what my wife drives, I'd be very happy in doing that as well. So I think the older you get, what you fill your cup with is very different from when you're younger, a little bit more, I wouldn't say stupid, but a little bit more naive. And you think this is what success is in life. If I may quickly share a story which encapsulates this. So there's this professor from Harvard, and well done to Harvard for standing up. Am I allowed to say that? But I will. This professor from Harvard goes to this little Italian town, and he sees these fishermen getting up in the morning, going out in a boat, doing their fishing, catching a little bit of fish, going home, having a siesta, coming back, and, follow this every day. And he goes up to the fishermen going, what are you guys doing? Why do you only catch like a handful of fish? And they said, well, we just need to eat. He said, well, you know what? If you actually catch a hell of a lot of fish, you can sell that fish, you can buy another boat, and eventually you can have a fleet of boats. And the guy said to him, well, and then what? He says, well, once you have a fleet of boats, you can sell that fleet of boats. You have millions, billions even. And he said, and then what? And he said, well, then you can retire at the ocean. And then the guy said, well, I'm already at the ocean. That story resonates with me, and I've bastardized the story. But we think we want certain things in life. But once you have this, I actually don't give a damn, and I just want to be peaceful in my own skin and be who I am and be comfortable with that and not worry about what other people have to say to me and say about me or think about me, then it's such a beautiful space to be. I love being 50, by the way. I used to worry about so many things when I was younger. Now I'm like, if it's not going to kill me, if it's not going to kill my family, if it's not going to matter in 3 months from now, why am I worrying about it? If I can't control it, why am I trying to control it? Things just need to happen. So in terms of filling the cup, I think I've mentioned earlier, obviously, the things that like spending time with the family, but it's also that letting go and being comfortable in it that I love.
That is so important. Thank you for sharing that. And I love that story because I guess through my travels, I've also experienced that a lot. It's like becoming more minimalistic, really realizing that what is a luxury is human connection. It's not so much what you're wearing.
Exactly.
I mean, that's important too for expression. But it's like who you are inside and what that resonates with in the world and getting to know yourself. I think that's so important. And I love that you're doing creations. I mean, I'm such a creative soul. I think everyone is a creative soul. And I've also been wanting to dabble in animation and drawing, and I've also been a little bit scared of it. So you are inspiring me today.
That's good.
So thank you for that. And so I'm curious. So in a year from now, where do you see yourself? Where's life?
Did you not listen to me earlier?
I did hear you.
I don't know. Quite frankly, I mean, listen. I'm obviously have a media company. We're launching a search fund with that. I'm hoping that all of these businesses become successful. And yes, of course, if they're successful, I'll make money. And I mean, money is important to pay bills. Let's not be foolish about life. But the impact that those businesses create, the value you bring others. So I don't mind making money. I'm a capitalist, right? Over and above it. I mean, I'm a capitalist who believes we need to be more like China, which is let's not change governments all the time. I'm not saying democracy is a bad thing. I'm a capitalist who believes that if we have consistency, we can plan a lot more effectively and we can achieve a lot more and we can impact more lives. But anyway, so a year from now, I'm hoping the businesses are successful, but I hope to have my health. And why am I saying that? It sounds so worthy. It's not worthy. I had an Achilles operation recently. And while I was in hospital, I tried to hop over to get my crutches, and I pulled my other Achilles. So I was wheelchair bound for 2 weeks.
Gosh.
And the recovery is still not perfect. And it made me realize, man, I'd give up my car with the roof that comes down for great Achilles any day. I would give up, I wouldn't give up my family, but there's a lot of trappings that I would give up if I could still be in good nick and function, because there's nothing better than health. Health is, if someone offered you, Nicole, here's a question for you. If someone said to you, Nicole, I will give you 100 million euro tomorrow, right? You can get 100 million euro. But the trade-off is you won't be able to get out of bed.
Oh, I'd never do it.
Exactly.
I can go make that 100 million.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the right attitude. Because, but when we wake up, we don't think about life like that.
No.
We don't think about the fact that there are other people who can't get up in the morning, and they might be rich. I mean, think of poor Michael Schumacher, right?
Yeah.
All the money in the world, won all the races, one ski thing, knocked his head. The man cannot walk. Would you want to be Michael Schumacher today? Now, I'm not judging him. I'm thinking it's sad what happened to him. It's sad for his family. But I think if we did a juxtaposition with our lives and we say, okay, compared to Michael, I don't have much. The fact that you can wake up in the morning, get up, walk to a table, make yourself breakfast, eat that breakfast, go to gym, walk on a treadmill, drive a car and see is something that we all take for granted.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It really is. And it's those little things. It's like, for me, I've realized just being able to make the coffee and have it in the cup that I love is like, it's the simple, small things of life, you know. It's
Exactly.
really important. And that every time you feel that gratitude, it fills your cup, exactly like you were
Yes.
saying, to do more. And then that kind of cycle feeds you. And so on the topic of gratitude, I quickly want to do a little partner spotlight and have some gratitude for the people who are making these conversations possible. So thank you so much to Riverside FM and RSS.com for being amazing content creators, partners in crime. And they've given our audience very graciously a discount. So if you want to go to the socials and contact us at fridayfeels.co, we will send you the discount code. And yeah, if you're a content creator, a podcaster, a live streamer, or you just want to take more efficient meeting notes and have the video recorded, let us know and reach out to them as well. So thank you to them. And then a very quick little slide into a segment I want to call the people, places, and spaces, which is persons and amazing things out there that are giving us the feels, the Friday feels. And this week's shout out goes to Away Luggage. Now I've been traveling to South Africa and back, and I brought some goodies back with me. And I had this option of taking a bigger bag, and I was like, no, I have to have my bag. That's like my baby with me. And I bought this luggage in New York, and it's called Away Luggage, and I've never had a suitcase like this. So thank you to you guys for just giving me a travel buddy, a travel companion. That's amazing. So whoever is out there wanting to travel, check them out. Thank you to them for bringing the feels and
Amazing.
bringing my stuff home safely. And then I just want to move in quickly. We've got 2 more questions, Kieno, and then I'll let you go into the world and do your cool stuff. The one is just a little sharing. It's called The Gems. It's our moments of gratitude, I guess, for the week, but also maybe learning. So if something was hard, so I'll quickly share mine, and you can share if you want to. For me, it was an event that I hosted at La Pomme d'Ève, the South African bar in Paris, on Monday night, Easter Monday. And it was called C'est la Renaissance. And we hosted a beautiful music night. I had 2 bands playing, Non Merci and Duo Destiny. And yeah, I think by the end of the night, I was full of emotion, and it might have been a little bit of extra wine I drank, but I think it was also about all the feels that I was feeling of a day of rebirth, and also just artists sharing their soul. I learned a lot about the Renaissance in preparing for the event, and yeah, just I feel like we are in that time again in the world where art is the revolution. And I'll get emotional again. And on that note, I'm going to give it over to you to share your gem for the week.
Well, listen, you make me want to come to Paris. I mean, a friend of mine has just been appointed as the group CEO of a media company in Paris. He used to be the group CEO of MTN, group CEO of Digital, Christian Beaumont. Very nice guy. And I said to him, I'm going to visit him in Paris. So I'm going to come to one of your events, no doubt. I think I definitely want to do that. I need to travel more, actually. So gratitude, I think, I don't know. I mean, it's the health bit, right? I mean, for me, the fact that I have a functioning brain that allows me to utilize this thing that people call a deficit, ADHD, and utilize it to its full capacity to be able to sit and listen to people. I mean, I can't listen for very long, so I tend to have very short meetings, which to me is a blessing. I can't sit in a meeting for an hour. I can't. I normally say to my management team, you know what? If you can't say it in 30 minutes or 35 minutes, we can't have the meeting. Then send me an email. But the fact that I'm able to get up and walk, the fact that I have a beautiful family. I mean, it comes, my eldest suffers with a bit of depression. So there's a learning there, internally, but also, as a parent, the lessons that it teaches you as well. So life is not easy, but I have the ability to deal with the curveballs that life throws me. But generally, man, I've lived an interesting life. I come from a really poor area. I've got no family that's linked to any politicians. I like politicians like a hole in the head. It's just some sage advice that my parents gave me that allowed me to go on that journey, and that is show people that you've got the aptitude and the attitude. Stop asking for money up front and prove your worth. And if you're really worth it, you know what? People will work with you. And that's just, I've got a brain that functions. I'm healthy. And I listen to my parents for once in my life. My mother will tell you it's few and far between, but that's something I did listen to.
That's amazing. Oh, I love that. Thank you. Yeah. And I think for everyone else out there listening, what are your feels about this? As you're listening to Kieno chat about his life and share all these insightful moments, that you've come to realize. What do you feel about being open to business, being open to the world and opportunities? We want to hear all the feels. And do share with us. We love receiving your messages. And on that, I have one more question for you. And that is, what is in your stack? Now that is the reading list. It's something that maybe you've got some books on the pile that you haven't read yet, or maybe you've got some that you'd like to recommend. Yeah.
I'm actually going through the list right now. I was looking at it this morning because I do like. I certainly, like learning new things each and every day. And I'm being interviewed about one or two of these books that I've read on next week sometime. So the one is, I've just made a list here, Shane Parrish. I enjoyed the Shane Parrish book, which is about clear thinking. Right. The other one is Think Faster, Talk Smarter, Matt Abrams. I tried to. Malcolm Gladwell is always a favorite of mine. So Blink is a book I've read a few times. I tried reading Prince Harry's book Spare, but I gave up on it. I think like a quarter way in. I was just like, I love Harry, and I don't like the royal family all that much. I'm sure the French would love to hear me say that, but it's just too soppy and too Jerry Springer. I wasn't interested in that. And then The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Beep was another book that I've read. I'm just going through my whole list. Like my favorite book ever, because I'm a storyteller, is Donald Miller's sort of Building a Story Brand, which basically says, all you corporates who come up with these bloated stories and whatever, he says, just keep it simple. You're not the hero, your customer's the hero. Highlight that. And so I love story. I mean, the Story Design Academy you mentioned earlier is not something we've launched yet. It's something that will be launched. It was going to be launched in California. It's a friend of mine, Ethan Lader. Ethan happens to be the music video director for Bruno Mars, Wiz Khalifa, the script, Mariah Carey. Very down-to-earth guy. And after the last election, I said to him, dude, there's no way No way. I'm launching a business in the United States. So we're moving the business, and we're going to have our launch in Q2, and that'll be in Dublin. So we'll move the operations through to Ireland, yeah.
Okay. Oh, wow.
So,
That's
so
awesome.
that's it really, yeah, in a nutshell.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, thank you for sharing all those
It's a
recommendations. I'm
pleasure.
quite excited to check out the story one. Being a avid storyteller myself, poet at heart, storyteller, singer,
Love
songwriter.
that.
And yeah, I really love that. And I love what you're doing. I'm really excited to see the Story Design Academy come to life. Tell us how we can help and promote and
I
celebrate it
will
with
do that.
you
Thank you.
via Friday Feels. And yeah, just thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for giving your time and your energy
What a
to
pleasure.
come and share today, and really appreciate that.
And let me say something to you. You know what's so cool? I've dealt with people for 30 years of my life. There's just such a cool vibe I get from you. Very authentic,
Thank you.
very chilled, but very connected. So, I like that. I enjoy interviews with people who are comfortable in their own skin and know what they want. So, it's been a good interview. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you, Kieno. That really means a
What a
lot to
pleasure.
me. Thank
It's a
you.
pleasure.
And
I mean
wishing
it.
you a fabulous, fabulous week. I hope it's full of the
Thanks.
feels.
You too.
And we'll
You
see
too,
you
Nicole.
soon in Paris.
I will come and visit. Christian, I will come and visit. I've got a few friends up there now. So
Amazing.
I'll definitely come and say hi.
We'll make a plan in the South African bar. We'll make it plan.
I
Absolutely.
like the sound of that. I like the sound of that.
Thanks, Kieno.
As long as they sell clippers and cola in Paris, I'm a happy guy.
Well, we'll make it.
I actually like my Irish whiskey, but let's not go there. Anyway.
I'm sure we can find something of decent effect. Thanks so much.
What a pleasure, Nicole. Thank you very much. Eh?
Take care of you.
Have a lovely day.
Bye.
Bye bye.
If you haven't just yet, follow Friday Feels on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and LinkedIn. You can share with us all your feels this week by tagging us at fridayfeels.co. And you can also find the website at that handle. And now, as you ease into this weekend, take a moment. Celebrate who you've become, what you've overcome, and what is yet to come as you do the crazy and cool things that you do as the authentic you. The truth about life and work is that it's hard, but the beauty is this global working experience that you're in, well, we earn it together. So keep connecting, empowering, and inspiring this week. And of course, keep it raw and real. Until next time.